I'm Chuck Larson. We're here at Barcelona at ISE 2024, and I am the Director of Training and Support for Visionary Networked Audio Video. Today we are here demonstrating our 5 series encoders and decoders. We have two different models here. We have our 5100 series, which is our kind of entry-level encoders and decoders. All of our units work off standard PoE power. They don't require PoE Plus or PoE BT. Like I said, standard PoE power. On the encoder side, if you notice here, we have a PoE LAN port. This is where we're going to get power and where the AV is all going to be and control is going to be. It has an HDMI input and an HDMI loop out. On the other side, we can do analog audio input. We can do GPIO and RS-232 pass-through. On the decoder side, same thing, a single network port for PoE and for the AV stream and control and an HDMI output. On the opposite side, we have analog audio output. We can do GPIO and RS-232. Also, on the decoder, we have USB-A ports, and on the encoder, we have a USB-B port so we can pass KVM or even camera, webcam, or audio traffic to go from a decoder to an encoder across the network. We also have here our 5200 series. These have a little bit few more features. These also have the ability to come with or without Dante networked audio. On the encoder side, this one, now we have two different LAN ports. We have our LAN 1 port, which is where the PoE power comes in. We have control, AV, and Dante audio that could potentially come over this LAN 1 port. The LAN 2 port is by default an expansion port, so you can use it to connect another device to the network. At our demo here, we actually have a docking station plugged into LAN 2, and the LAN 1 goes back to our network switch, so we're actually providing network access to both devices through this one port of the encoder. Now, I mentioned earlier that everybody ran on standard PoE power. However, if you provide these units with PoE Plus power, they can actually use the PoE power they need, and they will pass out PoE power out this LAN 2 port. So maybe on the encoder side, you may have a Dante microphone you want to connect to the network. You can provide both power and network connectivity to that microphone. Maybe on the decoder side, you have a touchscreen controller that's connected there, so you can provide both power and network access to the decoder and the touchscreen from one network drop or one network location. In addition to these two ports, these two ports also can act as a network switch. So we can have some different kind of configurations with that. We have the ability to turn the LAN 1 port into a trunk port, and that will give us the ability to VLAN tag the traffic separately, so we can have the AV and control on one VLAN, and we can put our Dante audio on a separate VLAN. In addition to that, we can tag the LAN 2 port, can be a member of the AV VLAN, it can be a member of the Dante VLAN, or maybe you have a third VLAN that you're maybe controlling displays or something like that over PJ Link. This LAN 2 port can then be a member of a third VLAN from there. One other third configuration that we can do with this is that we can separate the traffic, so we can have AV and control off LAN 1, and then the Dante audio can come off LAN 2, and that could route to a completely different network switch. In addition to the dual ports, you'll see that this encoder has two different HDMI inputs. So an HDMI 1, HDMI 2, and a USB-C input. This USB-C input is DisplayPort alt mode, which is basically a HDMI connection over a USB, or HDMI signal over a USB-C connection. It also has an HDMI output. So you can almost think of this encoder itself as a 3x2 localized switcher, with one output going to the network stream and the other output going to the HDMI output. The sources for the network stream and the HDMI output are individually routable. So you could, as an example, have HDMI 1 going to the AV stream, and you could have USB-C coming out the HDMI output. These encoders also have balanced audio input. They will do GPIO, RS-232, and IR. On the decoder side, we have the same two LAN ports and capabilities with there. But in here we have an HDMI output and a USB-C output. The USB-C output of this decoder is a UVC compliant signal, so you can connect this USB-C directly to a codec or a PC. Almost think of this decoder as having a built-in capture card, so you won't have to add in another device to then bring this into a conference type of situation. It has balanced analog audio output, GPIO, and IR as well as the USB-A ports. And that's kind of a quick run through as far as the hardware. The next thing we'd like to show you is a very common request that we get is for in your conference or presentation environment, or is a BYOD, where they want one single USB-C cable for a laptop that's going to do the power or charging for the laptop, network connectivity, and audio and video all over one single USB-C cable. We're doing that right here with this demo station. We have a laptop here with a single USB-C cable. We're actually running all of this currently through a docking station, where the docking station will provide power, network access. We're then going HDMI out of the docking station to an encoder. We're then using the USB-C output of a decoder to come back into the docking station to get the video, as well as we have a webcam that's connected to the USB-A of a decoder, routed to the USB-A of an encoder, and then back into the docking station as well. So here in this demo, we actually have all of that running over a single USB-C cable. And so what we're showing on the display here is we're actually using OBS to simulate a codec type of environment, whether this is Teams or Zoom. So we have our USB signal from the C signal from the decoder is our main content that's here, as well as we have our USB-A from our web camera. With our 5 series, you have the ability to route the major services being audio, video, and USB separately from each other. So in this case, if I want to change the content that I'm presenting, but I don't want to change or affect the USB web camera, I can independently route the video. So I can select my video selection, and now I've routed a different source to as my content that I'm presenting, and it had zero effect on the USB web camera itself. Once again, I'm Chuck Larson, and I'm the Director of Training and Support here at ISE 2024 with Visionary Networked Audio Video.